country which was the most educated, civilized country in the world do a horrific thing. It was humanity at its worst.
My mother, Regina Tauber, was born to a prominent family in a very small town in Hodel, Poland.
I was born January the 1st, 1915. My childhood was a very happy childhood. I was the only daughter, having 5 brothers.
When my grandfather realized that Hitler's rise to power was going to be very difficult for the Jews, he encouraged his children to leave Poland. The 2 oldest sons managed to leave. My grandfather got sick, and then their family resources started to dwindle, and no one wanted to leave my grandfather. They didn't want to abandon him.
And my father died in 1935, so the family couldn't go nowhere.
And the night my mother ran away, her friend came to her to say that they were going to kill all the Jews in the synagogue. It was Yom Kippur. And all the Jews would go to temple, and that night they planned to barricade them in the temple and burn everybody in it.
We told the Jewish people to run away. The ones who were not so religious believed us, and they all went away. But the religious people said, we go to the synagogue and God will save us.
And they were all barricaded and burned alive. I remember my grandmother telling me a story of during the war. She was living as a non-Jew in Warsaw, and every day at lunchtime the Nazis had everybody gather at the church square so that they could read out the list of all the victims that had been killed that day. And if you didn't cheer, you were shot on the spot. So one day she was standing there waiting for the names to be read, and she heard the names of 2 of her brothers be called.
She couldn't scream or cry because it would give her own identity away. So that night she just bit the inside of her mouth and just cried into her pillow so nobody would hear her. She found out that my father was alive, and she went to find him.
My name is Abraham Tauber, born October 10, 1915. I had 4 sisters, and my father was 42 years old. My mother was 40 years old. We were not the richest, we were not the poorest. My father had a farm, which we had all kinds of horses, cows, animals, and we worked for it, and we had a comfortable living. Not rich, not poor. Then the war came.
My father lost his family. They were captured in the town, and they were taken to Majdanek concentration camp.
When they were in the cattle car going through the woods,
I was together with my whole family, and my mother said, we all go, we don't know, we're probably going to be all wiped out. And I said to my mother, I'm going to jump from the train. No matter what, if I get killed, nothing to lose. I want to get my younger sister with me.
my grandmother in her wisdom knew that my father would not be able to survive if he had to care for a child.
But when the train have to make a turnaround, start up to slower a little bit, slow. Then I jumped out, the shooting after me, they didn't catch me. Good night. Roll off in the hill.
While he was running, he got shot at, and the bullet grazed his lip.
He tore his shirt to wrap his head around it so that the trail of blood would not be left behind for the hounds to find him. He told us that when they found him and his lip was hanging, they used urine to disinfect a sewing needle, and they used thread from a shirt to sew his lip.
And they had a bottle of vodka for him to drink so he wouldn't feel the pain of being stitched up. He didn't have food. He would eat raw potatoes in fields. His lips were chapped. It's living in the woods for 4 years. I don't even know. I can't even imagine.
I went to this Polak, and I say to him, his name was Václav. I say, hide me for a few days. I'm not going to stay by you steady. Just I need a few bit till that's going to cool off and catching Jews. And the Germans with dogs come to him, and I was there. When they went away, and he says to me, I couldn't keep you longer here. My wife is dying if you stay here. And at nighttime was a blizzard, a battle blizzard, bad, raining, hail, everything. And I went to the forest. I got a rifle, I went to the forest. Coming to the forest, I'm by myself. A group went through by, and I am talking. And there was Russian people running away from all concentration camps. There were a group already. And I stayed with them till our group grows up to 300, all kinds.
They were always hunted because the Polish people, when they were very good at keeping records, so they knew there were a lot of Jews who escaped that they were always being hunted for. And my father caught up with the Russians at some point in the war, and he was fighting with them against the Nazis. Nighttime would come and he went to sleep in a barn, and he had lice because he hadn't taken a shower, and he took his boots off to go to sleep because he was itchy.
In his sleep, he felt that someone was there, standing over him, and he opened his eyes, and a Polak was coming at him with a knife. When he went for him, my father rolled over, and the knife went into the pallet of straw where he was laying. And there was a fight. My father overcame the Polak.
1944 comes the time that the Russians come closer and closer. That our whole group, what was left, and we left only from 300, was 14 people. We have to see, the Germans were chased out. There's still some there, not many, just still there. Then our group went there, I was in the group. We break up the doors, we come into this concentration camp. And I screamed to them right away, Hände hoch! You know what this is. Hände hoch. Whoever didn't brought up the Hände hoch, boom. Not from me, from the rest of us. Then the ones that brought up the hand hoch, we let them alone. We went in right away to them. We took away the ammunition. We tie up his hands. We let him alone. And we took him all, 27. From the truck, we hanged them on the nicest street, the 27. We hanged them.
Our generation needs to talk about our history, talk about what's happened. And it's our job that when we have children, so to make sure that our children know these stories so that they never die.
Your generation can prevent another Holocaust from happening because you have the State of Israel. My parents didn't have it. And after being there and seeing for yourselves, you will see why it will never happen again.
We got to build a strong Israel. If Israel would be this time existing, they would have come for us. They would come to help us.
What I've always taken is anyone can steal anything from you in any moment, but no one can steal what you have in your mind. Sorry.
I've learned a few things. I've learned that love and family triumph any type of horrible experience, and that my grandfather and grandmother lived to be able to pass on tradition and family and culture to all of their future family, because they knew that the rest of their immediate family wasn't there to do that for them.
I've asked myself, would I risk my life and the life of my family to help someone?
Being a child to survivors, I think, has made me a better person, has made me more aware, and a better person to the sense that I'm much more tolerant of other people.
It's important to not lose sight of who we are, what these people died for, so that my children's children will never forget what happened.
Education.
History.
Survival.
Heritage.
Tolerance.
Hope.
Remember.
Never forget.